Well, I'm excited to be out on my first ever solo wild camp. I have a good amount of day hiking experience over the years, but I'm really looking forward to camping out overnight at the end of a good hike. Last time I did anything similar was in the RAF many years ago, and we tended not to rough it. I'm going to be following on from my previous video where I'll be practicing my map reading, navigation with a compass and timings between stages. I have a wild country Helm 2 with me. I've heard lots of good reports about it being an excellent entry-level tent. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that giving it a great rating, so I'm hoping it fares out well for me.
Well, it's certainly a nice fresh evening anyway, so if nothing else it'll be a good exercise. The rain seems to be holding off just at this moment in time. I am noticing the pack. I'm not used to carrying this weight, so it'll be a good experiment to see how we get on. The pack's a very old pack. It's over 14 years old, but it'll do. We'll see how we go. Trying to get it adjusting it, making sure that the weight's on my hips and less on my shoulders. I am feeling it pushing the middle of my back, so it's not an air vented one like my 30 litre pack, which I really like, but that's no good for tonight. We should just have to see how we get on with it. But yeah, great to be out. Another little walk, heading up into the wooded area and up to what's called the Mass Rock, just below Sligo. Anerin. Plenty of wind here now, so I want to try out the windbreaker on the GoPro and listen to it later just to see how that sounds. But that's what we're aiming up into. Going over there to the left, the Mass Rock is amongst those crags there. And we're heading further over to the left, the end of the crags, and then upright up to the summit. Now it's not the summit you can see there, it's about a kilometre beyond that, over some pretty mucky bog and heather, so that'll be interesting. It's getting a bit later than I'd intended to be out, but as long as I can get up there in time, which I will, the sun won't be setting for another couple of hours anyway, we should be fine. Anyway, famous last words, we'll see how we go. Now this is where we leave the cinder track, leading all the way down through the wooded area and to the car park. There's a little bit of a track here towards the Mass Rock, but that'll end soon enough. And once beyond that, we'll be into the open bogland, and there's no tracks up there, so just relying on compass and bearings. So I'll go through my usual SP when I get there, looking at the plan I've made, looking at the distance, the timing, the contours that are involved. Well, made it to the Mass Rock anyway, so that's just behind me, and I've stopped to put my waterproof leggings on, and as you can see, they're needed now. Funnily enough, I did notice one more person up ahead of me, which absolutely amazes me because it's so underpopulated here in Leitrim. Nice to see some other fools up on the mountain at in this weather anyway. So I'm just at the start of the ascent. The plan is I'm going from this point here. Okay, I'm going on a bearing. I've actually changed it slightly. I've re-looked at the map. It's 346 I've got up to spot height 584. It's 1200 meters there, so that's 18 minutes plus the contours that are involved, so a total of about 31 minutes. I know that it's quite heathery, and in one section there's a fair bit of bog that has to be taken into account to walk around or whatever, so it's going to take me probably more like 35-36 minutes. So I set the compass here now to 346, line it up there, and so because the mist is coming down, I'm picking a point on the horizon. So just to the left of the boulders at the top, that's where I'm going to be heading once I get up there. Looking at the compass again and finding my next point that I can actually see that's along that bearing of 346 degrees. Well, I'm just over that rise. I'm looking for another point along my bearing. I can see it's just beyond the crag, so that's my next point I'm aiming for. Be interested to see if the wind noise or what it's like now with this foam protector on it anyway, so hopefully it's okay. Well, I've picked a challenging evening for my first wild camp anyway, but it's still good fun, honestly. Just coming through the mucky bit where you get a fair bit of a broken bog until we get up to the peak, so give you a shot of that, and it's going to get a bit worse going over there. Went into the rough bog area I was talking about, so I just got to really get beyond this. I don't know how it's coming out or whether it's very clear, but it's quite messy. Get beyond that, and then the going girl will get a good bit easier, he says. Just a little bit more to go, but it's getting lighter, and then up to the summit. We're just coming up to the summit of Sligo here now. Really just go around this bog area and just go up to the rise, and that'll be it now. I certainly could have picked an easier night for my first night while camping, but it is what it is anyway. It'll be memorable. I wasn't even going to record it, but I'm glad I have now. I'm at the top of Sligo now. There is no marker here, but it is flat ground. That's what I was expecting. Just going to reset by bearing to 34 degrees, which I've done, and I'll be heading off in the direction of 561 peak. I'm heading halfway there, so I'm going about 1 kilometre, and that's going to take me about 15 minutes going downhill to the saddle. And at that area there, I hope to find the camp spot that I saw the last time I was up here. If I can actually see it in this, but whether I see it or not, I'll be camping somewhere down there anyway. This is the spot I was looking for and I remembered, but when I was here the last time I thought it was a little bit flatter. Moved on a wee bit more, found a little spot here with sheep droppings on it. If it's good enough for the sheep, it's probably good enough for me. It's not perfect, but then again, on this sort of land I don't think I'm going to find perfect, so I'm going to give it a try. So it looks alright for the moment, so I'll get my stuff inside. Well, I'm in now. The weather outside is not the best, but it's a good experience here for the first time while camping. I realise I should have got the tent around a little bit more, about 90 degrees, so that my head was a little bit more up as opposed to me being on my side, but it'll be fine. My Decathlon MT 900 sleeping bag, it packs up really small, so I'm going to let it out now and let it breathe and let the down puff up, but I just wanted to show you how small it actually is. Haven't tried it out yet, so hopefully it'll be warm as well. Pretty squared away now, fairly settled in the tent. My first experience here of wild camping. Still waiting for my mountain equipment self-inflating mat to self-inflate, but apparently the first time it can take a good while, so that's no problem. I've got my Decathlon down sleeping bag, so it's an expensive enough bag, 160 pounds there. I know that's probably not a lot compared to what a lot of people would use, but for me it was big enough. And I got myself a Decathlon jacket here, and it's fantastic actually, only about £60. Went looking for a down one. I know possibly not the best for the sort of weather that we get in the UK and Ireland, but they didn't have one in my size, so I got a synthetic one, and it's great so far. Of course, it has the advantage of, if it gets wet, then it still provides the heat, and it's keeping me really toasty here at the moment. So I've taken my wet clothes off. I have a set of long johns and insulated top on there as well, so I feel warm enough, and got warm socks on here now. One mistake I did make was I brought my stove to try out, but I'm going to have to go through that the next time, because I bought a lighter, because I don't smoke, so I bought a lighter in the garage, and of course I went and left that in the car, so I won't be cooking anything hot. Not that I'm too bothered about that tonight. I've got enough dried food here with chocolate bars and some trail mix, and I had something before I came out, so I'm not too worried. I just wanted to try it basically, so that'll be for
for the next camp. It's been years since I was out in a tent. It was when I was in the RAF there years ago. We did a lot when I was a young fella there, but that was in very different circumstances and very different equipment. The Helm isn't particularly light. It was quite bulky in my rucksack. The rucksack itself wasn't great. It's an older rucksack that I've got, which is a Vango Pumori 6010. Pretty sure I'm going to have to change that one out because it wasn't comfortable. There was a fair bit of weight in it there, but the weight wasn't bad. I actually found I could manage that. So I've come a reasonable distance in. I've about 2 hours walking to where I've gotten to, and I was the weight wasn't so bad there, but a better bag would help. If I go and do a lot more of this, which I intend to take a look at a different rucksack. I'm just going to settle down here. Don't have too much more to say apart from it's great out here. I love it. The weather is terrible. It looks like a bleak moors outside, but I'm toasty and I'm loving it. I can actually see why people really get into the wild camping. Well, I got fed up of waiting for my self-inflating mattress to self-inflate, so I just blew it up. And it's actually absolutely fine. I've got my head torch hanging from the inside of my tent at the top there, tied up there with the sock, so that's working. But I might try a different method in the future. And everything's calmed down outside, so just to show you out there. I've been watching Daily Outdoors. He's another guy who does hiking videos, and he's taken the mickey out of beginners the way they're filming set scenes, and it was really funny actually, because I found myself doing all of those things. So you could take offence by it, but there's no point, because it's actually pointing out what is, I suppose, crass and what everyone is doing there. So you try and do something different. And of course, here I am speaking here at night, talking about torch hanging up in the tent and my mattress, the way I'm blowing it up. It's all the same stuff. That's kind of laughable really, but anyway, I'm just practicing, so I don't really care at this moment in time. But maybe it'll get better, or maybe it won't. What I like doing when I'm walking up is, years ago I got into map reading and taking the bearings and looking at the contours, looking at the features as you're going along, identifying where you are, but particularly looking at the timings. I found that I was off with the times to start with, but then you have to work out what pace you're walking at. It's usually between 3 and 4 kilometres. That'll depend on the weight you're carrying, the terrain. The weather will also affect you. You know, are you holding up a good pace? So you have to think about that when you say, well, okay, it's going to take me 15-30 minutes, but you need to take into account the contours, the climb, the descent even. Actually, I mean, I was told initially years ago that when you're going downhill you don't need to count the contours, but I found that depends on what the downhill is like. If the downhill is anything like the mountain areas here in Ireland, in Leitrim, it's very boggy. You know, it's very heathery, and what you need to be doing is to factor that in as well. Are you climbing? Are you descending? Are you coming to a saddle? Is the ground falling away at your right and climbing at your left, or falling away both sides? To actually get a good feel for what the map is telling you, and to give you confidence of where you are. Now, the way to do that, and the way I started back, was to do it in good weather. I was able to then work out my pace for the different terrain. So I think I've got it down much better than I had about 4 walks ago, because each time you're improving. There are the apps as well. I mean, I could have just used Gaia GPS, or there's many others. I'm not putting them down at all. It's good to have, but if you just totally rely on those, when your battery runs out, or you've dropped your phone in a bog, or you've lost it, then you really need to be able, well, especially in the areas that I'm going to, and actually on my own, be able to map read. And it's very satisfying. If you're going through the Clag, where you can hardly see anything, and you've got your compass out, and you're looking at your bearing, and you're looking 20, 50, 100 metres as far as you can see ahead of you, and then you walk to that, and then when you get there you look at your compass again and make sure, well, where's the next where's the next close point, and you keep doing it that way. And if you keep doing it that way and you get to the point that you're aiming for when you calculated that you would, that's a great feeling as well. I mean, it really adds to the whole experience. But anyway, we'll leave it for tonight and let's see what the morning brings. Well, good morning. I had a pretty reasonable night's sleep for the first time in a tent for many years. It was raining a lot in the night, and that was nice. So we'll see what the morning is like outside. Well, it's still pretty murky out there. At least it stopped raining, but quite misty. The tent's very wet. Fine on the inside though, nice and dry. I'm in no rush anyway, so I'll leave it for another hour. That's a lovely sound. Listen to that, but that's made up my mind. I'm not getting out just yet. Not for a while anyway. I've looked at the forecast and due to stop raining in an hour's time, so we'll leave it till then. But I'm just lying here now and listening to the rain. It's really nice, really lovely. I'll chill out for a bit longer, see if I can get another hour's kip. That'd be nice if I can, we'll see. I just got to pack the tent away. Everything else is all sorted out and in the rucksack, so just taking a little look around. Still quite windy. The tent's held up well. Making sure I didn't leave any rubbish there now. It's been a great experience anyway. I've enjoyed it. It was quite windy last night, but not too bad. Tent held up very well. Back at the top of Anerin, so when I get to the other side of this circular bog piece, I'll just be taking my bearing down. I took 350 coming up, so it'll be 170. Starting to clear out a little bit there now. Get down a little bit more and a nice scenery will come into view. I'm back to just above the Mass Rock area, so I'll just be heading down here along to the left there on the face of these crags, and then you can see the path in the distance there down through the trees to the car and back in time for work. Oh dear. Anyway, I'll sign off from here now, and till the next time.